My people, what up, though? We live with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief.
And I'm Adrian.
And Adrian's still accustomed to the format. It's been a while, Mr. White, man. So for those of you who've been tuning in and tapping in with us, we've been doing our Therapy Thursdays for a while now. We had to take a little bit of hiatus because we was on the road touring and, speaking in places and doing what we do. So we didn't get a chance to tap back into the Therapy Thursday. So we wanted to keep this train rolling and pick it back up. So here we are. Mr. White. Another thing we wanted to do, Mr. White, we added to our Instagram page, like Therapy Thursdays, like question session. So if you tapped into the IG, you ask us a question, we'll try to, play hood therapist for a minute on there. So that's kind of cool too. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted to just kind of, find a way to interact with the people and keep it going. So before we get into today's episode, which is based on anxiety, you dig? We're gonna talk about anxiety and different components of that. But per usual, man, check in, B. How you been? How you feeling? How you live? It's been a while since we spoke, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a little minute, but I've been good, man. Some highs, some lows. Trying to practice what I preach in terms of not keeping stuff in, reaching out to my supports. But all in all, man, it's been good. I've been really focusing on getting rest on the days that I can, so it's allowed me to be more active once I come home, and that's just been amazing for me. I got my group started, so this Sunday is my first groups for the All Black Men Need Black Men. It's 5 series.
Word.
Yeah, 5 series. It's only one spot left, so if somebody email me and they want to do it and y'all type in All Black Men Need Therapy in it, just off of the strength, you can have that last spot free of charge.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Ain't nobody tapped in right now, but when the people start coming, I'm gonna have you repeat that and see who wants to tap in. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be really, really dope to kind of, to bridge platforms and make it happen. But the wife and the kids are good and all that.
Yeah, man. The wife good, the kids good. I got them all in therapy. And
everybody
except the little ones, but everybody in therapy now.
The whole family's in therapy.
Whole family in therapy.
That's cold.
The whole family in therapy. And I did it. One of the main reasons why I did it too is because we are such a big family, right? So I had to I'm not going to be able to give everybody everything they need while I'm going out here trying to, provide, continuing to build, etc. So I felt like it was key, and the girls love it. Right. At first, 2 of them was like, no, I'm not doing therapy. They're going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, yo, you're not, it has nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So I had to talk them off the ledge. And then they started and they be on it. Dad, I got therapy in an hour. All right. Dad, I got it in 30 minutes. Maybe I know, I got you. Like,
that's what's up, yo.
That's dope.
That's definitely what's up. Have you seen some improvements, some changes, some growth in them over the past 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's dope. I more so did it just so that they would have the outlet. Because again, it's mostly all girls outside of me and my son. So all that estrogen all in one house, it'd be rah. So it'd be interesting to hear their conversation because I'll be sneaking a peek and just hearing the things that they talk about. A lot of it was surprising, but just hearing how they view each other. You know what I'm saying? I think that's dope. Hearing how they view me and the things that, we are able to do, that was dope. One thing that was a little difficult was one of my daughters said that she misses how it used to be, before I got married, because they had me, it was just me and them all of the time. And now it's like, okay, we got this huge blended family, so they don't get as much time and attention with me, as they used to.
That's dope. And how you doing? Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. Your physical health.
Ooh, physical 1 to 10. I can't even hold you, Chief. I'm probably like a 4, bro.
We got to get you right, man.
Got to.
Spiritual health. No, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry. Your physical health. Go ahead. You would go in and go ahead. Your physical health. Scale of 1 to 10. You said a 4.
Yeah, 4.
Any
Full.
any physical trainers and personal trainers in the Charlotte area want to trade therapeutic services for physical training services with Mr. White? I think that'll be
I
dope.
ain't even ready. I got a homeboy who do it. He do groups. I'm like, but they be getting it in. I'm like, let me start running. Let me at least get up to where I can run a mile first before I go dive into what they all do. But I went running this week. Well, walking
Okay.
mostly.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? So
you
I'm
got to
gonna
start
build up.
somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Got to
Yeah.
start somewhere. Your spiritual health. Where we at? Scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, it's I'm locked in. I'm probably like a 9.
That's what's up. That's good. What's the strongest part about it?
I think the way God talking to me again and it's challenging me, right? So like now he's dealing with my pride, but it's so direct and clear. So when he's speaking to me like that, I know, okay, it's something on the other side of this if he's making it this much of a statement, for me to just make sure I'm continuing to remain, humble
That's
with the
what's
way
up.
that I deal with people.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what's up. So you really like. I hear people talk about it often, like in religious, faithful settings and whatnot. And for me, they're here to say I hear God talking to me. Like it means something when you really feel it. And I think one time in my life in particular that I can really go back and go, yo, like God was speaking to me, like he was talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And I can't quite pinpoint why it happened like this, but I know for a fact that this was something that he specifically, like, this is what you need to do. You dig what I'm saying? So when people say that, like I really, it's deeper and more real for some people than it is others. But like one time in my life, I can really be like, yeah, God was talking. Like I have my faith, but like an intentional conversation, like it's been like, yo, this is all. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give that story later, but.
I want to know what the conversation was about now.
Okay, so I basically like inherited a set of twins, right? These young ladies. They've been playing ball with my daughter for the past couple of years. So Christmas 2020, I wake up and these girls are just on my spirit, yo. Like literally, like I like my chest is heavy with, and all I could think about is these girls. You know what I'm saying? Their dad passed away when they were like 3. He was a high school classmate of mine, right? So their dad passed away when they were like 3. So I wake up and these girls are just on my chest like something crazy, and I can't shake it. I'm talking about like from 8 in the morning to like maybe like 3 in the afternoon. I just can't shake it. So I called their mom like, yo, I don't know what this is about, but like God is telling me I need to be a part of these girls' life. Like something he's telling me I need to be a part of their life. You know what I'm saying? And like, do you mind if I like take them under my wing and like just really try to portray that dad figure? I'm not their dad, but I'm gonna do the best. I'm gonna treat them like they're mine. And she was like, yeah, sure. You know, I'm single mom, 4 kids, whatever, right? So peep. So now I'm locked in. We going everywhere. Again, they play on the same softball team as my daughter. So we always doing everything together. Like we spent literally, if I say like that year, like 90 days of that summer, the summertime, we might have spent 81 of them together. You know what I'm saying? Like I had them every day. So they hanging out with my mom, start calling my mom, Nana, all that good stuff, right? My mom, we months in now. My mom's like, "What's up with these girls?" You know what I'm saying? Tell me about them. Like, who's their dad? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, my man Eric, he passed away. Blah 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 blah. No, didn't think nothing of it. Couple more months go by, Adrian, and my mom sends me a screenshot of their father's newspaper clipping, the article in the paper. You know how he passed away, whatever. And I'm like, Ma, I know. That's my. I don't remember the story. I know how he died or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. She goes, no, and she said, and she's like, look what I circled. He passed away on the same day as my brother 4 years later. So I'm like, yo, they up there playing around. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're doing. Like they put these babies on my heart. I'm still trying to kind of figure out like exactly what my purpose is, but I know I've done well by them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm helping them become, better humans and whatnot, and trying to be that stable man figure in their life. So I believe that's there for a reason. But bro, like that's the one time I really feel like God was talking to me. Like you need to cover these little girls. You know what I'm saying? So that's the story. So the story's kind of like, give you the chills and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So Right. But so we got your spiritual health, you had a 9 out of 10. Your mental health, where we at?
Oh, I'm probably like a 6, 7, but I think it's good because I'm being stretched. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Like when you start lifting, you're gonna be a little sore, but it's only because you build it.
Right.
So,
Okay. That's what's
yeah.
up. So
What about you though, man? How you
I'm
doing?
about to give you order. So those of you who just tapped in, Bell and Prentice, well, Bell will be here. They should be logging on a little bit later, but we wanted to get this thing going. Reese, what's happening? Thank you for tapping in with us, love. Um, so all the fellas will be here in a second. But yeah, Mr. White, man, I think I'm good, man. Physically, I'm probably 7-ish. You know what I'm saying? I could be doing a lot better, but I slowed down a little bit. I was grinding heavy for a minute, but it slowed down for a little bit because
Yeah.
I've been doing so much traveling. But I'm getting back to that. Um, Spiritually, I'm in a good place. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a real good place. Probably like you, like a 9 out of 10. I'm in a good place. You know what I mean? And then mentally, I always like to believe I'm solid,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty good. I'm up there too. I'm gonna give me 8.5 ish. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm in a good spot. I don't really be. I'm in a good spot. But we'll tap back into it, man. So what we wanted to talk about tonight was, what I want to talk about was anxiety. Um, I'd like to believe I was never really one to experience and endure anxiety until like I got my first whiff of what I thought anxiety could be, and I'm still not sure. I think it might be PTSD, and I don't know how closely PTSD is related to anxiety and how that happens, but I wanted to tap into it. So before I do, I wanted to just give what Webster says anxiety is, and I know you. So I want to talk to you from two different lenses. I want to talk to you from your professional space in dealing with anxiety, and also from a personal space when dealing with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people have it, and it shows up in different ways for many, many people. I've seen some serious anxiety, panic attacks, and I did some research today and learned that anxiety and panic attacks are two different things,
Mhm.
similarly related,
Yeah.
but according to medical documentation and research or whatever, they are two different things. And I have some statistics about it or some statements about it on the paper that I can read. But so the dictionary says anxiety is intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. Fast heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating, and feeling tired may occur. Excuse me. Anxiety can be normal in stressful situations such as public speaking or taking a test. Anxiety is only an indicator of underlying disease when feelings become excessive, all consuming, or interfere with daily living. And I'm like, okay, that's simple enough. And I
Mhm.
don't necessarily I've gone through those things, but didn't necessarily equate it to anxiety. So before we get into your work part of it, have you do you deal with anxiety personally?
No, but situationally, right? So, like it was talking about with like public speaking, the
Mm-hmm.
joint I just did a last month. I had to do a talk at Johnson C. Smith University, right,
Okay.
Chief? And so while I'm about to go up, I'm like, yo, why did I even? And it was some imposter syndrome too, right? I'm like, yo, why did I even sign up to do this? I'm about to just leave. It's like, nah, you can't leave. I'm talking about my palms are sweaty. I'm walking around back and forth, just like, this ain't what you do. Like, you give me one person or you give me a small group or a couple, I'm
Mm-hmm.
goaded. You know what I'm saying? But just talk, nah. And then the lady, I'm like, the lady who was hosting it, she was like, yo, I know you got a PowerPoint, but just be you because it's your personality. So just talk. I'm like, all right, cool. But in my mind, I'm never signing up for another speaking engagement in my life. Now, this is only the third time I've done it. The first time it was at a nursing school when I was talking about opioid use with some nurses. The
Okay.
second time I did it with some middle schoolers. It was a whole middle school and they killed me. I did so terrible, Chief. I'm talking about turned my back on the kids a few times. Asked some kids some questions, couldn't get them to settle back down. So I'm like, yeah, it's just not, for me. But what I locked in on, like right before I started, I remember what a lot of people do on these podcasts, right? They move everything to the point that they strongest at and they go with it. So that's literally what I did. I talked about the information, but when I got to the things I knew I could rock with,
You was all
I
in.
just kicked them. I was all in. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, that's all I gotta do. So that, and then like big tests. So every time I had to take a test for my license or something like that, the anxiety was kind of there. You know, up the day of studying, not being able to sleep, nausea, because the symptoms can become physical too, just how you read off. But on average, I don't really struggle with anxiety.
No doubt. Hey, Bell, what's happening, player?
Yo, my bad, fellas. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, you good. Actually, sound really good today. We ain't no adjustments needed, cuz.
Man, it's been a night, man. It's been a night.
Doubt.
But
Everything good?
everything's
shit?
good. Everything's good.
Well, since you're here, it's been a night. Check in, baby. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Fill us in, cuz.
Let's just say, man, if owning the business was easy, everybody would do it, man. Well, we our investment group, we just had a pretty heated discussion. There's some reoccurring themes, and you know, we're embarking on a major project that I don't want to say anything about yet until we finalize it, but it will be by far the most expensive purchase I've ever made, and and probably the most elaborate rehab I've ever been a part of. But you know, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, right? So
For sure.
it's a lot riding on it. If we can make it happen, it's just making us very uncomfortable because the amount of money, the responsibility,
Uncertainty.
the uncertain, yes, 100%, the uncertainty. It's a lot. And we're just trying to work through it, and you know, group dynamics. You know what I'm saying? We deal with it a lot in the podcast, like group dynamics, and it's not like high school, or I shouldn't say like middle school, where you get a group project and you know
One dude
there's
get
always
it all. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is all hands, you know what I mean? Like at least because I'm a managing member, so at least in the managing member group it's all hands. So had some spirited conversations a little bit ago. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm just coming down off that call in Russia, and I got off the call at 9:10. Chase's sheets was in the dryer, so I made his bed real quick. Tried to do a quick little bedtime with him, and then jumped on this call over here. But yeah, man, it's just timely. Let's just say that.
No doubt. So no, but it's actually not cool. But it's the irony in you going through all this, and our topic being anxiety, and the anxiety come with all that.
Frustration more than anxiety. I think my partner is dealing with a lot of anxiety because of the project, and I'm gonna call him tomorrow probably at this point because yeah, bud, give me a second. Chase is waiting for me to go in there and lay down with him. He don't know I'm not coming back. Um, I'm gonna call him because I know what he's going through. You know what I'm saying? Like for transparency, I've gone through some of that anxiety in our group in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because for him, and like me, but for him in this particular case, he's looking at things from structure standpoint, just like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to build structure, and the pushback is like we have all the structure that we need. You know what I'm saying? Like we have more structure because of you in the last project, and now it's like now we feel like okay, now we can go because we built everything out that you wanted to build out. So now we can go. But again, the nuance of business is just going to be things that come up that you don't have it built out. You weren't prepared for it. So it's like, hold on. So I know what he feels. I know how he feels because in the podcast, so just for those listening, obviously the podcast is me, Chief and Prentice. And of the three of us, I'm the only one that doesn't have the creative mind, right? Like I'm the
Not true.
visionary.
Not true.
I shouldn't say that. They are the creatives of the three. Just come in here. Sorry. So I'm another way to say I'm the least creative of the three, right? Naturally. But I can see things from a structure standpoint, from a business standpoint, and I can see why like this little thing matters. Like in your art, it may not matter as much. You can come sit in here with me. It's bright, buddy, but Chase is going to join us for the live, y'all. Come on, you want to say hi to everybody? It's 13 million people watching us right now, but who's that?
Uncle Mike.
That's Uncle
What's
Mike.
up, boy?
He can't hear you. It's Uncle Mike said, "Hey, bud." So I see no, you cannot have one of those cookies. I see what needs to be done. The challenge is I'm the only one that can see it. How I can see it, not that they can't see it or they're not capable of seeing it. No, don't drink that. It's just like I see it now, today. They may see it in a day or two, 3 days from now, 4 days from now. But part of my frustration is like, how don't you guys see this as a problem? How don't you? And that's what my boy's going through right now. Like I can feel it because I know exactly how that feels. Like little stuff, like we all play sports, right? It's like little stuff will get you beat, you know, and the podcast is not as much at stake financially, whereas his anxiety is probably heightened because of the financial ramifications.
Daddy.
So that's where it shows up for me. It shows up for me where it showed up for him. They are his cookies. They are his cookies. Somebody commented they're probably his cookies. That's where it shows up for me. And it's just like, yo, why can't y'all get this? Why don't y'all see this? Why don't y'all see this as a problem? And the reality is it's probably not as much of a problem as I'm making it seem, but because I'm the only one that can see it at the time, it's amplified. But
Yeah, so
I said a lot.
One of the questions or one of the comments that I wrote down in our treatment was, you know, you referenced a couple of times in our dealings that like, yo, you just give me anxiety. And obviously you say it, like, most of the time you said it with a smile on your face, but
right.
I know it's deeper rooted than that, but I'm curious to know what that looks like in terms like, or how it shows up for you when you say you niggas give me anxiety. Like, what does that look like? Is it like just a worry? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like these niggas is remedial. Like that's how I look at it. I'm like, who raised these dudes? Like that's really how I'll be looking at it. Cause I'm like, how can't you understand this? Right. Like, why don't you get this? And I also have to understand that one, not every, like, we're all different. We're all different. We all have our strengths. That's one. No, he's gonna lower my seat, y'all. So y'all gonna see me drop in a second. We all have our strengths. And how that looks for me is just it's frustration. But then as a leader, it's like it's my job. Chase, you're gonna fall. It's my job to be like, how do I get them there?
and which is crazy too, Mr. White, because I'm also looking at it from the same perspective. Like, yo, I completely understand where he's coming from, but how do I get him to understand where we're coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're willing to jump on board, but like, we are three different people. We see it three different ways, and we can all be on the same page, but you know what I mean, write in different languages on the same page, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's been we've had some, again, what's the word you use, Bell? We've had some spirited conversations for sure. You dig what I'm saying? But it's always come out on the end where we're still able to move forward, amicably, and make some shit happen.
Agreed. And I think it's give and take, right? It's like, and I've told them that, like our last performance, I'm like, this is where I need you guys to shine. Like I need you to help me understand the creative process. Like help me understand that. Like get me, I'm willing to go into it not as comfortable, provided you have my back and you help me understand where I need to be, what I need to do so we can make this happen. And what all I'm saying with them is like I need y'all to come on my side from a receptive standpoint, not necessarily an applicable standpoint, but I need you to be receptive to what I'm saying so you and understand the point. You may not be either a willing or capable in the moment to act on it. I just need you to understand the bigger picture because most of my stuff is not for today. Like, yeah, this isn't an issue right now, but if this persists, it will be an issue in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of times it's like it's not that big of a deal. It's like, no, it will be though. Like, I'm not looking at it as today. I'm looking at it as ABMNT the enterprise. And when we make an ABMNT enterprise, these are the things that are going to get us beat.
Right.
So that's where and again, that's, I know for a fact that's what my man is dealing with right now. I know it is.
No doubt. So on my end, I don't really like you, Mr. White. Like as far as anxiety is concerned, spotty, but not like overwhelming. You dig what I'm saying? And I don't know if I've told you this situation before, but I'll repeat it again. I said on an episode moons ago, but like my daughter was in, she had a high fever, so we took her to the children's center. You know what I'm saying? She might have been like maybe like 6, maybe. She was young. You know what I'm saying? And we're in the little hospital room, and like my mind playing tricks on me, like for real. Like so in my head, my mind is like, yo, something like your daughter might not make it out of here. This is what my mind is telling me. So I'm pacing the room, and it's like the ceiling might be like 8 feet. I'm 6'2", you know what I'm saying? So the ceiling ain't too far from me. And I'm pacing, and I'm just like it don't feel right. So I stand under the little vent, like with this blowing air. I'm like, I try to gather myself, like just breathing, like, I mean, control your breathe. I'm talking to myself, like literally, like, calm down, bro. You all right? Calm down. So I finally get my body to stop moving, right? And I'm standing still under this heater, breathing in, slow, deep breaths with it, in through your mouth or in through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever, right? And Mr. White, I bullshit you not. Like I get my body still, and my toes are like digging in my shoes, like trying to crawl me out of my shoes, fam. And I'm like, yo, something's not right. Like something's not right. So I go outside, and the moment I get outside, it's like this is like 2 a.m. The moment I get outside, it's like the sun came out, and it's just everything calmed down for a minute. I'm able to collect myself, and I go back inside a couple minutes later, and I'm like, I don't feel as, I guess, anxious or whatever it was, but I still feel it like coming. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, let me just chill out. And I don't know if that was anxiety, a panic attack, or PTSD. And why I say that, because when I still have this, like I'm a believer now about this PTSD, because I've experienced it in January. But like from going to see my brother in the hospital, and like I see hospital like hallways now, and like I really get, like, my hands get clammy, my body starts to shit, like it, so that I wasn't sure if that was the same thing. But so I don't really know. But that's like the closest experience I have to like dealing with anxiety. Like I don't get really tense going to places and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Adrian, before you chime in, because I want to hear you, but I wanted to say something, Chief, because I realize that anxiety don't always got to show up that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain. I just recently went through something, right? And I kind of pushed out unconsciously, pushed out dealing with it in that moment. What did I do? I immediately switched to something that I would give all my energy to. Right? I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm about to buy a house, and I'm about to lock in on this savings. And I'm not about to eat lunch out. I'm about to save every dime. And I call my financial advisor. I'm like, look, I need another account. I'm about to put some money in. I'm locking in. Here's my plan. And I went full steam ahead. Haven't eaten out in like a month. Right. So I realized that, and speak on we had a therapy session on Saturday. I realized that that was me deferring, right? Like my anxiety showed up in that way. I got hyper focused around something else. So I didn't have to deal with what I was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I immediately went into action mode and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna lock in right here. I'm good. I'm just gonna lock in. I'm about to have this house in 3 years. Watch. You know what I'm saying? So you say you don't have it, Chief, but just understand it can show up different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't gotta be the symptoms that you experience in
Oh,
the
yeah,
hospital.
yeah. I
I
get it.
mean,
But so again, even with that, I haven't come to a point like you have where you can kind of assess that, I shifted
mhm.
my anxiety somewhere else. So I can't really relate, but in terms of like the textbook definition or perceptions of it, I don't think I deal with that as I've seen some people deal with it.
Yeah, and the only reason why I know I was doing that is because I was in therapy. That's the only reason why I knew that was happening. So you know what I'm saying? That shit may be present right now in your life, and you just may not even recognize it. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think with anxiety, like most things, right? Like we all have some of it. But when it comes to a diagnosis, it boils down to how it's impacting your life, right? Is it affecting your relationships, and is it about certain things that like the normal person wouldn't worry about, right? So definitely with yours, Chief, I think it is probably more closely related to PTSD, just
Mhm.
because of the impact of you losing your brother and all of that stuff. And so to be in that same situation, it probably was more linked with that. But and even with what you said, Bell, that's just avoidance, right? You got
Mhm.
so many people who do so many different things to avoid it. So again, we all have anxiety, just like we all have depression. But where it switches to, if it's a mental health diagnosis, is how it's impacting the major areas, of your life, relationships, things like that. When I have clients and they be having anxiety, it's almost like unreal, right? Like the things they tell you they worry about, it's like,
Mm,
dude, you got to be kidding, right? Like, had I not been a therapist, I'm thinking about me like before, and I would be like, bro, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why do you
right.
even care about that, right? Whether it's social anxiety, you got people who just feel like people are watching them all the time, or
Yeah.
always worried about what other people, think about them, to the point to where it's affecting the way they sleep. Just so many different things, man. And so a lot of times for what is that severe, one of the recommendations is medication, because literally everything we put into place, like nothing is working, right? So I always break it down to most people with anxiety is because they're worried about something in the future or something that hasn't even happened yet. So typically I try to do a lot of like mindfulness things, right? Okay, hey, let's focus on what's going on right here, right now, in the moment, right? So I give them some of those types of tools. Also planning. I work with them on developing a plan. If there's a certain area that you are anxious in or that you do worry about, normally having a good thought out plan and reviewing that plan kind of helps alleviate, some of that anxiety. And then just giving them different perspectives, asking them to look at the situations differently, just challenging their thoughts, different ways. Well, hey, they're gonna say this. Well, how do you know that? How do you think that? You know what I'm saying? But again, there are extreme cases where it's like, yo, you need medication. And then the drawback, as we know what that is, the medication comes with a lot of side effects, right? So typically it slows them down and they don't like it. So sometimes people with anxiety, it's like they stuck in between a rock or a hard place. It's like either I worry or I take this medication and I slow all the way down to where I don't even feel good and like, the person that I am or where I'm at. So it's
Okay.
rough.
So have you witnessed, like, some people are not believers in the medication components to assist in anxiety? Have you seen the effects of it? Does it legitimately work? Are there?
Yeah, for some people, based on what they've told me, it works, but sometimes there's side effects too that come with it. Now,
Mhm.
me, I'm not a component of, like, I'm not taking no medication, right?
Right.
But there are people who do take it, who do find it effective. But again, most often I hear about side effects that come with it too, whether it's them, getting real sleepy. Sleepiness and tired is the main ones that I hear when it
So
comes to taking the different
when
medication.
your clients come to you, do they come expressing that they've been either diagnosed with anxiety or they're feeling anxiety, or can you, like, in conversation, see that they're dealing with anxiety?
Yeah, they'll tell me. So, right, initially, we do the assessment. And so through the first question I asked them, hey, what brings you to counseling? And that's probably if they're struggling with anxiety, hey, I just can't stop worrying about X, Y, and Z, or when this right here happens and it's starting to affect me on my job. And, I can't even focus on my job and I can't sleep at night. Like I wake up in the middle of the night and all I do is think about A, B, C, D. So then I'm just marking down the symptoms. But anxiety is something that you can pretty much see. Then from there, it just depends on what type of anxiety it is, right? Like, is it social anxiety? Is it generalized anxiety? Is it some type of adjustment disorder, right? To where, yeah, they're anxious, but it's literally because you divorced. And you know what I'm saying? You got to figure out now what your whole life got to look like. Okay, that's realistic. Then you have some people who was aware of it. Hey, this right here is not a big deal, but I literally can't control me thinking about it and worrying about it, right? So from there, that's when we try to come up with a plan. Again, work with them on their thoughts, give them certain different thoughts to kind of fight those thoughts when they come. And if that don't work, my recommendation is, hey, are you open to trying medication? And I tell them to go see a doctor or a psychiatrist and have them work that out.
Okay, so more specifically, I just wrote this down, which is I'm glad you kind of tapped into that. So if someone like you who knows they deal with anxiety and are adverse to taking medication, what are your recommendations?
Oh, so if you don't want to try something, whatever works for you,
So you're not legally. So first of all, is anxiety something that can be like, can the doctor diagnose someone with anxiety? Is that a diagnosis? You're not legally like certified to do that? Like you would mention it and then you have it
so I can diagnose. I can't write prescriptions. Yeah. So I can diagnose people with disorders.
Okay.
Technically only in the state of North Carolina and Florida, because those are the only states I'm licensed in. But yeah, I can diagnose mental health disorders.
Okay. And so, is anxiety, is that considered a mental health disorder, is it?
Generalized anxiety disorder. So remember, with any disorder, it's a whole checklist that you have to to check off. But yeah, it's generalized anxiety disorder is the main one.
Remember in the definition that I read, they labeled it a disease, an indicator of an underlying disease when feelings become excessive, all-consuming, or interfere with daily living. Is that fair?
Right, because at that point, it's a disease. Hence diagnosis.
Got you. Okay. That's fair. That makes sense. So you don't have specific anxiety treatment tactics that are non-medication that you would just, like, if somebody said, I struggle with anxiety, I don't want to take meds, you can say, listen, this is something that my patients have done in the past that has helped them. Is there anything in specific that you could recommend someone who's like listening, like, yo, I deal with anxiety, I don't like meds, I don't want no meds, but how do I deal with this shit?
Right. So the first thing is mindfulness techniques, right? Okay. So it gives them to focus on the here and now. Because remember, anxiety, for the most part, you're worried about something that hasn't even happened yet. Oh, what am I going to do with this right here? Or, oh, what if when I go here, these people are like looking at me or judging me, right? So the one thing I try to do is to give them different techniques so that they could just focus on what is going on right this very moment. What are the things that you can, control? Right. And then whatever it is they're specifically worried about, I'm going to ask questions and then I'm going to challenge some of those things. Right. So like one guy, he struggled with like, what was we talking about? Like crowds and like his friends making fun of him. Right. So like he didn't want to ask them for help. He's like, well, I'm not going to ask them for help because they're going to judge me and this. And I said, well, okay, has that happened in the past? Well, no. Not really. But then after we processed it, it more so was about how he views himself, so then we started working on, his self-image, how he sees himself, etc. We also talked about how, the way that he would do things for anybody and not complain, why not give other people that same opportunity to do it with him, so, and he literally had to write this stuff down. He put it as a screensaver so that he can remind himself of these alternate thoughts. So that then when those thoughts start to come, he can say, no, that's not what it is. This is what it is. Because our thought process and perception controls everything else. But again, there are certain people to where it's literally so strong that they need something else. And that's why a lot of people smoke weed. Like a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, they're gonna smoke weed because they're not about to deal with just that fight of trying to feel comfortable. They're gonna roll them up a blunt, sit back and woosah, and it takes everything away.
Right. So someone shout out to I don't know who this is, but it's JD J7419 said, is this similar to overthinking? Is that like, I mean, someone, I would assume someone somewhere would identify, can they identify overthinking as anxiety?
Yeah, because if you overthinking about something, you worried about it.
But I think
Right.
it goes back to what you said too. Is like, well, I can't remember exactly how you framed it, but like how it shows up in with you emotionally, or how it. You said it earlier, Adrian. You said what makes this anxiety compared to this is how, because Chief said it's a disease or something like that, and you was like,
yeah. The severity, right? So anytime we diagnose, and two things we're looking at is frequency, intensity, severity. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad it is and how often is it happening, right? So again, it's normal to overthink about certain things, but how is it impacting you in other areas of your life?
How is it impacting? Right, exactly. That's what you said. Yep.
Okay. And you've witnessed that marijuana has definitely helped some people like curb some of the anxiety they experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
You smoke crack, don't you?
Right. Don't you smoke? Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. All right. What is, I mean, for those of you who I was gonna ask, like, can you recollect your worst experience dealing with anxiety from a personal perspective, and like what that felt like? And because I feel like when we tell the personal stories, people can connect to those and be like, yeah, I kind of felt something like that. And it's like, and how did you deal with it? You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it also occurs during fight or flight too.
Yes,
Right.
For sure.
You know, like I don't. So I have, and nobody believes me when I say this, but I have like I'm not diagnosed or like that, but like I get social anxiety, and nobody believes me, but because they think I'm so social. But the truth is, I remember this one time, right? I was this probably had to be 2015, 2014 or 2015. I got selected to go to this leadership conference, and I met my VP he was brand new to the region, so I met him for the first time, and we had like a tough conversation. Like he ended up getting removed from the job, but we had a tough conversation. It made me uncomfortable. So we were all at dinner, and immediately following dinner, that's the time where people are supposed to network, have drinks and stuff like that. I went back to my room. I'm like, nah, I'm not dealing with this. It's too many people. Because I was relatively unknown in the region at my company at the time. So it was going to be like a lot of like schmoozing and like networking, like essentially. And I went back up to my room, and I remember I'm like, because I just felt so uncomfortable doing that. And then I remember pacing in my room. It was like, no, like you have to go back down there. Like you can't stay up here. If you stay up here, this is the easy way out. Like I was literally talking to myself. So I ended up going back down there. Even though I was like, my anxiety was just like, no, you can't do it, or you shouldn't do it.
I kind of had that exact same feeling though when we were at the Black Men Leadership Conference. The night I stayed in was a very similar thing. Very almost like I would have said your first like minute of the conversation was probably exactly how I was feeling. I didn't let myself win though. I didn't win over myself. I was like, nah, you stay in here. You're not going.
Yeah, you're a loser. I'm a winner. No, it's funny, bro, because I felt that from you at that joint. And I'll speak for me. When I was in the scenario I'm explaining, I almost felt inferior a little bit based on the conversation that I kind of had with my VP at the time, and it wasn't about my ability. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with how a situation was handled. And again, hindsight 2020, we now all know that he handled the situation the wrong way. It wasn't me.
Right.
Like that's just like a known thing now. But I felt that from you at the ABMNT. But let's park here because I think this is good. So for not ABMNT, excuse me. So in August of last year, Chief and I, we went to the National Black Men in Leadership Summit in Detroit, and it's a room full of a lot of black executives, all black leaders, like from all kinds of companies, from Walmart to um I mean, I shouldn't say every, not every, but a lot of the big companies that you've heard of, a lot of the thought leaders and leadership leaders from those organizations were there. And more importantly, my organization, we had probably about like 20 something people there. And I wanted Chief to come because, as some of you know or may not know, Chief and I started our first jobs, or our first like grown up jobs, were at the high school. So I was a dean, he's still a dean, and I left some time ago. And I wanted him to go to the National Black Man Leadership Summit for exposure, for his craft in general, and for him because I just wanted him to be around some people who look like him that's achieving at a high level. So for me, I was in my element. Like I was very comfortable because this was my second time at the event, but it was Chief's first time. So, and I was speaking this year. Like I spoke last year at the event. So he was obviously coming to support me as well as the networking opportunity. So for me, I'm like, perfect. This is where he's going to have his light bulb moment, and we're going to put a plan together to get him to maximize some of the things that we've talked about. So when you didn't come out that night, I knew it was something like that. Like I
I
knew
don't.
it was something
So
like that.
to your point, I don't think it was like an inferiority thing, or I don't think I just I can't really explain it, but it was kind of like because we like even with like what you said about the inferiority thing, like we are able to get into any room anywhere and schmooze with the best of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. However, it doesn't mean it will be easy mentally.
Yeah, right. But I don't think I really can't explain it. Maybe just I kind of like it wasn't my people. I don't know what it was, but it took me till the next morning to kind of get in and around everyone because remember that was the first night, right, where I hadn't met anybody prior to anything. So it was like the first night
No,
we was
but you
there.
already knew people there though. Like you knew Donnell, you knew Stu, like all these people were there. You know
No,
what
I
I'm
met
saying?
Stu there.
But I shouldn't say you knew him. He knew
Yeah.
you. Right? Like
Right.
he knew you.
Shout out
Like
to Stu.
he knew
Word.
you. But I wouldn't dismiss inferiority. I wouldn't dismiss it.
Right. No, no. Again, I can't pinpoint it there, but I don't know. I don't know what the discomfort was, but it was
I mean, you were out of your element.
it
So
was
that
shaking
makes
off.
sense.
It was shaking off the next day, just being around and getting in the mix of it all. But like at that night, I was like, I'm gonna stay here, bro. Like, do your thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Soft
that
as
was
fuck.
anxiety though. I'll beat
It
your ass.
was. It was anxiety. You were feeling inferior.
I don't think that was it, but no, I'm gonna think about
Do
it now
you
though.
do you
I didn't
think
think
it
about. I
was?
didn't think about it until we had this conversation just now.
Do you think it was like imposter syndrome a little bit? Like maybe you didn't belong there because it wasn't different in your first time kind of being there?
Well, I think I was one of the very few there who wasn't in that particular industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Most of the like what 80-90% of the room, Bell,
90% of the room. What?
was in that in that industry.
What industry, Chief? What the fuck are you talking about
Corporate
right
America, motherfucker.
now? No, actually, one of the biggest sponsors is from an electric company. Now, be it as it may, the largest electric company in Michigan, but that year or the year before, they sponsored the majority of the event. Um, Yes, we going. It's in August. Chiefs going too, and he going out the first night. Reese. Um, yeah, no, but see, but again, what did you say, Adrian? It's like what we tell ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like he made up a story that this is all corporate people. I'm not saying you said this verbatim, but it's all corporate people. I don't fit in, or it could be imposter, like you said, or I'm out of my element. Let me just play the background and work my way in. But the thing is, one, you do belong. Not to say that you said you didn't belong, but one, you do belong, which is where my frustration came from. But I couldn't allow you not coming out to stop what I was trying to get accomplished. You know what I'm saying? So that's shout out to Ken the Connect out of Detroit, my guy. I met him that night.
Word. Shout out to Ken. I
You know what I'm
remember
saying?
that. But we had a whole conversation about it when you came back. Yeah.
Yeah, like I met him that night. We went to and the great thing about Detroit, bro. Let's just say you were right, right? Let's just say it was all corporate America. The great thing about Detroit is it's black as hell. You know what I'm saying? So everywhere we went was black. Like it was, we went to the cigar bar. Everybody in there was black. And the person who took us there was one of our presidents. Our president took us he's white. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about that. If you remember, he talked about it on the main stage about assimilation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he was like, he was one of the, now you talk about not being a part. He was one of the few white guys in that whole room. And he was one of the keynotes or one of the main speakers. So he talked about assimilation. He talked about how he assimilated to his environment, which he may not have normally done in other circumstances. If it was a group full of white guys, he wouldn't have done some of the same things that he did. Right. Like he said on the stage, shout out to TK, Tom Kelly. He was like, I don't think I've dapped this many people up before in my life. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we greet each other.
Right.
But he's, you know, he's speaking for a reason, right? Like he lives and breathes this representation DE&I stuff. You know what I mean? So he adapted, but that's the conversation he had with his wife. And that's when he referenced my conversation or my speech that I had in his speech on how I assimilated when I got to corporate America and how he's now doing that at this National Black Men in Leadership Summit. So I feel like I'm talking a lot, but deal with it because I was, you know, just so y'all know, when I got up last time, I had to wipe my man butt. Like he went poop. So there's a lot going on over here in the Bellamy household. Anyway, me having you there, Chief, not me having you there, me suggesting you go was for that, to get you out of this environment, because we talked about it during our live episode that we did some time ago in New Britain. Here's the reality, bro. Like you're not in those rooms enough to feel comfortable. That's just the short answer. You're not in those rooms enough to feel comfortable. And I'll flip it to me. When I went to the Grammys and I was in those after parties with all those damn poets, it was weird, right? Like, just being honest. Like, I'm just not used to that. Like, it's like all these motherfuckers is good with words. You know, it's like I don't got it, bro. So, but that was out of my comfort zone. But that's not something I want to pursue, right? It's not like I can deal with it because it's like I don't have a dog in the fight. Like, this is cool. Whereas I don't know what you were feeling, but there's so many avenues that could have taken you down in those rooms. So maybe there was more at stake for you. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know.
You know, but I'm definitely gonna process it for sure.
You always processing something. You never follow up with the people.
He never
That's
do.
not
He
true.
never
I don't
do.
follow.
very
I'll follow
true.
with y'all. That don't mean I haven't dissected it and given.
I literally said
know.
you don't follow up with the people. Literally said that.
Well, no. I
Hey,
figured
but
my
you
shit
know
out.
what's interesting though about what y'all are talking about with being comfortable, right? When I went to get my master's, that was the first time when I realized like I was black, right? Meaning because, and it's crazy because I'm looking at, we about to do our 20-year reunion. I didn't even realize I went to high school with so many white people because I only hung around my circle, right? And then I went to an HBCU. But when I went to USC in Columbia, I literally was the only black man in my class. And that's when you asked me, Chief, when I had the most anxiety, it was then, to where I almost left almost dropped out of grad school. Like I would be in there like, yo, what are you doing here with all of these white people? You do not belong. What are they thinking about you? Like you're not smart enough. That's when I started smoking weed heavy. So that's how I know weed help with anxiety.
And the irony of that, Adrian, is you going to get certified to become a social worker, correct? Is that what you're going for your master's for? And anxiety almost got you out of there.
Almost got me out of there.
And you go in there so you can help people with anxiety. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild.
I don't think any of us is above it. Period.
Yeah.
Like I don't care how tough we are. I don't care how much stuff we've gotten through. We're not above this.
So aside from because Bell, you mentioned like, you had to sit back and go, you deflected from your anxiety or how you know what I'm saying? And Adrian, you've seen it in various different forms. Is there a way for people to, or do you have any like very direct forms of anxiety outside of what the textbook says? Like this also is what anxiety could look like. And not that, you know what I'm saying? Like we know what it looks like because it says it right here because we've experienced it ourselves. But for something that's outside of what we have dealt with personally, like what have you seen that's like, yo, that could be anxiety or that's anxiety or this is how it shows up for some people or about.
So I think it can show up so different, right? So I think rather than say, hey, do these things if you are anxious, it's the same thing I would tell somebody who is depressed. It literally boils down to your perspective, right? So challenge your viewpoint and how you are seeing it and ask yourself, okay, hey, could something else be going on here, right? And it helps to talk to somebody else, right? Preferably a professional, but also, like I said, since the majority of people are not doing it to the degree to where it is a disease, to where it's crippling them in several areas, as long as you got a strong network, how y'all just talk, bond, process stuff, and you're open, you can do that if you have a strong network as well, too. But again, I say, go back to your challenge your thoughts, and mindfulness is, I'm telling y'all, mindfulness. There's so many different like guided meditations. You can literally just jump on YouTube, type in 5-minute guided meditation, where they'll literally like walk you through feeling something coming up your leg and this and that literally will put you in the moment, right? And so that's the main thing I would say with anything. Challenge some of your negative thoughts and try to find alternative thoughts that could possibly be true, right? Because a lot of times we don't know. I don't know if I'm about to go out with this girl. I don't know if she's gonna like me or not. So why not just say she's gonna like me? Because it'll just make me feel better in the moment, right? Versus assuming that she's not. So depending on the severity of it, I definitely would start there. Mindfulness, being in the moment, and that's it. Those are the main things.
Yo, I think meditation is a very underrated practice. That really helped me. Like it really, really helped me. And I haven't done it in a while, but I would highly suggest it or highly recommend it. Chief, you started, right? I don't know how
I did, but I remember I started with the shorter ones. And I remember you telling me the longer ones is kind of what worked out better for you. So yeah. So I'm thinking I might have to do one of those things. A bit of my ADD and keep my ass. I gotta figure out how I can sit my ass down.
So that's the thing, Adrian. Like I started with the 5 or 10 minutes, and afterwards, bro, I was like in worse shape because it's like you sat down, so like my mind like sped up. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like I didn't have to deal with whatever else was going on around me, so I was just going, and I accidentally one time clicked on the 25-minute one and didn't know. And I learned that I need like 10 to 15 minutes for my mind to just slow down. And then the meditation can kind of take hold. So man, that it was a game changer for me. I even think it helped me get through a depression faster. You know what I'm saying? Because that was around the same time that I did it. I think if I not done that, my depression may have lasted long. Not may, it would have lasted longer because there was things that was said in the guided meditation that helped me learn, oh, this is kind of on me. Like some of this shit is like self-inflicted. So I definitely would highly recommend meditation for anybody who's struggling with anxiety.
Mhm.
Yo, I think I don't really have any more on the particular topic. I was gonna break down what it says the differences between panic attacks and anxiety, but I think those dealing with them more than likely know what they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, yo, it's we right up on our time. We like to keep, Thursdays at that hour time instead of running over. So yo, Bellhead, you were late, so I'm gonna put you on a hot spot first, man. Give us a final thought, B.
Ugh, final thought, man. Final thought is deal with your shit. Like, don't let it pile up, man. Like, don't let it pile up. Like, figure out what you need to make yourself feel more comfortable and or better in those circumstances. Because it's not like, well, I'm gonna avoid this because I'll never have to deal with this again. No, it's gonna come back. It's most likely going to be a similar circumstance. So the sooner you can address what your challenges are, the better quality of life you could have, to be honest, as best you can, right? Some of these things require professionals. So don't be afraid to go to a professional to just start asking questions about why things are the way they are. That's my final thought.
Fair, Mr. White. Give us your final thought, B.
Yeah, it's hand in hand with what Bell was saying, man. Get some help, fellas. Like reach out to a professional, especially y'all who say you're gonna do it and then things get better, so you don't, and you in that circle,
Prentice.
right? So even if you get better before you can get with somebody, that's probably the best time to start. It's
Prentice,
better
he
to
talking to
start
you, Prentice.
with all hell not breaking loose. But if it is, fellas, get some help. Reach out to different people. If the first therapist trash, try the next one because every therapist ain't for everybody. And when
Right.
you vetting a therapist, you need to remember that they work for you. So you interview them, ask them all types of questions. You know, what do those letters mean? Do you got any special certifications? Is there anything personally that you've been through? Do you see anything based on what I told you? Can you see any challenges working with me? What are your strengths that's going to help me reach my goals? You know what I'm saying? Interview them, and if they trash, get you somebody else. But there's somebody out there probably who align with you that can assist you, man, because you don't got to do it by yourself, and you really wasn't meant to do it by yourself, really, too. So,
Word. That's what's up. I think for me, my final thought is even though I don't feel like I lost that night, but it's a good point. Like when you fighting with yourself, make sure you always win.
You definitely lost.
I didn't lose.
You do that a lot. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
You do that a lot. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
What I do, Chief?
This nigga, man. Anywho, when you
I won. Give me my money. You what? I lost.
y'all find better friends and make sure that you always win. Tap into our merch store online, y'all.
We got some new stuff
www.avmnt.com.
dropping. Not yet, but
Yeah, new spring
day or
line coming out soon, new colors and whatnot. We have a voice line. If you going through something and just need some support, hit us up 860-410-6160. We're starting something new on our Instagram page on Thursdays as well. So we'll have our Therapy Thursdays at night. And then throughout the day, shoot us a question or whatever. We'll try to answer those live in a moment for you and just kind of help engage with our followers and supporters and whatnot. We got some traveling coming up at the end of the month, going back to San Diego. They love us out there now. So we moving and shaking.
Back to Cali.
Word. We got San Diego, Mass, and Connecticut coming up with All Black Men Need Therapy. So it's gonna be some dope stuff coming up. So tap in with us, y'all. And I think we good. Anything else on y'all have, fellas?
I'm good.
Well, here we go. Per usual, do us all a favor and hug a black man today
Do it.
and tomorrow.
Do it. Oh,
We out, y'all.
Chief's will send Reese a mug.
I got it right here, Reese. I promise you. Text me your address. I have it in the mail tomorrow. Promise. Text me as I'll send it in the mail tomorrow. Promise you. I got you. Y'all be cool. Y'all be cool. We out.
Do it. Oh, shout out to Mitchell Jr. Our